Welcome everyone to Business Morning. We're live to you from Lagos, the home of Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. I am Bosun Omafaye. Let's get everyone into today's business and markets, the final installment for the week, a very crucial one. Nigeria's financial and economic capital, Lagos, is one of the final pitching grounds for political heavyweights ahead February 16 presidential election. Lagos business and social life will be impacted by Saturday's, that's tomorrow's closure of major roads as President Buhari's All Progressives Congress holds a rally at the City Center Stadium that's in Surulere. That's one big one for the city tomorrow, and everyone is looking at that very closely. Meantime, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo is scheduled to meet and engage with the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers on Sunday here in Lagos ahead of next weekend presidential election. Of course, there are a lot of news home and abroad about the two main challenges for the presidential seat, and that's according to Bloomberg Business Week, writing today that, quote, Nigerian voters need to choose between a pair of uninspiring presidential candidates. Neither of them, according to Bloomberg Business Week, is offering a fix for the country's struggling economy. And of course, we're done with the week technically today. Then we will have a slew of economic data from Statistics Office in the presidential election week, starting with the fourth quarter 2018 GDP numbers are out bright and early, 8:30 in the morning on Tuesday the 12th. It's going to be the biggest economic story for next week. And of course, we'll pour over all that data as soon as we have it early in the morning on Tuesday. You need to be part of that. Of course, that will be part of the discussions ahead of the presidential election, and of course, other elections are scheduled for this political season. And of course, Friday, of course, next week, Friday, we'll be having the country's CPI, what's called the Consumer Price Index, and inflation report. That's out Friday. Meantime, financial derivatives companies forecasting 0.09% slowdown in headline inflation figure for January to 11.35% against 11.44% we finished off in December. I'm sure you've seen the markets over the last couple of days. The market street rallying very strongly ahead of the elections. The stock index yesterday broke 31,000 psychological glass ceiling, adding nearly 230 billion naira to investors' portfolio. And that was led by heavy buying into banks, consumers, and industrial goods. At the currencies market, Naira is not letting go of his gains on the US dollar. We finished an e-window on Thursday, 361.64 local currency for $1 US, and on the market street, 361 to 1 greenback as foreign investors pump billions of dollars into Nigeria's financial assets. All of that before the general elections. And at the debt markets, yields are headed back to double digits yesterday on short-dated treasuries as the central bank intolerant for liquidity overhang shows in multi-billion naira treasury bills auction. Yesterday, the financial regulator pumped 120.9 billion naira out of our market street. Okay, so let's bring you some of the brass tacks, the numbers. They said the devil is in the details. But of course, there were no devils, as it were, at the stock market yesterday. It was all green across all the major indices. Again, this was just that rally before the earnings season and elections. Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent, is live to us now from our studios downtown at the Stock Exchange. Temple, this was a good day. Okay, that looks like a red tie you have there on a blue one. So, looks like you're balancing your bullish sentiment with some little of a touch of bearishness. But balance it for us here for the numbers. A very good day. Now we're down to technically a very good month for February, and year to date, it looks where we've paid off technically almost all our negative index readings since the 1st of January 2019, just yesterday.
Yes, Bosun. I mean, the market is looking green, and the numbers are also very, very positive for a lot of the investors that are putting money. Yesterday, we're up in absolute points, 611.69 points, and that represents some 1.98% in terms of the all-share index, which is now back and more comfortable at the 31,000 psychological line, 31,433.49. Precisely yesterday. In terms of what we were able to add yesterday to the equity capitalization, 288.11 billion naira was what the equity cap yesterday added to settle at 11.722 trillion naira. And of course, the market breadth was really positive. We got some 25 gainers as against some 13 losers. A lot of those 13 losers are more of less active companies in the market. So it tells you that a lot of investors that put their money in some of these less active companies had to move them back into the active ones in the market. And that's why you saw the likes of Forte Oil gaining 10% yesterday. And of course, the likes of MC Nichols down some 9.52%. This tells you that this investor sentiment really in the market is good at this point in time. UBA emerged the top traded, the topmost traded yesterday in terms of activity level. UBA was up 2.08%, did some 137 million units of its shares for a value of 987 million naira, and that's about $1 billion naira. If you look at activity level, it was positive. Rose yesterday by 22%. We came settling at 436.74 million units yesterday, valued at 5.88 billion naira. Compare that to what we used to have on daily basis, around some 2 to 3 billion naira. You see that this is an improvement, a huge improvement. Deals yesterday was also positive. We saw 4,047 trades basically in the market yesterday. Now, if you look at the banking sector yesterday, now going by sectoral analysis, you see that the banking sector was positive yesterday, was the best performing segment yesterday, up some 578 basis points. Guarantee Trust Bank helped that helped that segment, up some 9.51%. Zenith Bank did 7.24%. Jais Bank, which is one of the penny stocks, rose some 6%. Sterling Bank also did some 5.93% precisely yesterday, and all of that was able to push up the indices. So these were the key stocks that helped the market yesterday. Consumer goods segment of the market wasn't left out. Dangote Sugar and, of course, Honeywell Flour and Nestle PLC were all the key companies that were able to help push up the indices yesterday. Insurance segment, ICO, continues to rise 7.14% and was able to push up the indices. If you look at the industrial names as well, industrial goods, WAPCO was up yesterday 2.47% after investors took position of the previous session losses. CCNN did 2.05%. Dangote Cement also up close northwards, 1.06%. Oil and gas segment is next, and that leads us to the energy stocks, where we saw Forte Oil doing some 10% in its share price yesterday. And that was the topmost gainer in the market yesterday. Oando also did well. But Forte Oil has a bit of focus at this point in time, and that's simply because yesterday the extraordinary general meeting of the company took place in the market. And of course, the shareholders, 90.9% of shareholders, gave approval for the board to take decision on all documents execution as regards the sale of its power generating company, the subsidiary, which is now to be sold to the billionaire Mr. Femi Otedola. And of course, that decision was taken yesterday. A lot of the investors voted again that the documents and execution should be done by the boards. The boards had the freedom now to also appoint the professionals and advisors that will seal the deal and make it presented to Forte Oil. All that to happen in favor of billionaire Femi Otedola. We understand that during the voting, which was free and fair and of course very, very transparent, if you want me to just elaborate like that, the two companies of Mr. Femi Otedola did not participate in the voting, and that's of course in line with the demands or provisions of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's talking about Thames Investments, which belongs to Mr. Femi Otedola, and of course Zenon Oil Limited. The representatives of these two companies did not participate in that, so it turned out that this extraordinary general meeting was really, really positive, and going forward there should be a decision taken by the key figures that represent those entities in Forte Oil, and then going forward we'll be able to get better updates as regards that particular performance. This will probably take Forte Oil on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange from today going forward into a bit of a bid. Because for a while it was on offer. And so going forward with this kind of approval that was given at the EGM yesterday, we should get some kind of consistent positive sentiment on that particular company. Yesterday it did some 312,000 units of its shares. In terms of NASD OTC, we were down yesterday some 0.18%, saw some 613,532 units of shares done there, valued at 9.28 million naira. And if you look at the debt markets, like Bosun hinted earlier, in terms of the bonds market, we saw a bit of appetite on bonds. Average yield compressed by 11 basis points to 14.78%. We saw buy sentiments across all ends of the curve. And if you look at the July 2021, which saw a bit of increase yesterday, saw a bit of traction yesterday, you realize it was priced higher, 99 naira 14 kobo, away from 98 naira, which has been trending for a while. February 2028 also saw some interest. It was priced earlier at 94 naira, but yesterday priced at 95 naira. Ditto for the March 2036, which is the long end of the curve there. And if you look at Treasury bills, like Bosun also hinted earlier, we saw some auction yesterday. However, that was able to impact on the market because, again, we saw a bit of inflows from maturities yesterday. So we saw a bit of bearish outing yesterday in the market as average yield ended up expanding by 12 basis points to close at 14.57%. Bosun.
Okay, Tempo, thank you so much. We'll try to check in later with you if this rally is continuing today, the final trading day of the week. And, of course, all the political heavies are stepping all over our city, Lagos, starting from today, tomorrow, and the weekend. Thank you so much. Of course, we understand the Vice President will be having a meeting and interface with the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers this weekend, and that will hear what the market would want to tell the Vice President. Let's check in with you on that later within the hour. Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent.